where we could be alone between city lights. We don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up? What's up, you guys? Is it time? Is it time to stream? Did I run upstairs and get all out of breath getting myself a drink? No, I did not. Here I am. It's Joshua Bardwell. Oh, you guys are going to see something new in this stream. Let me know what you think of it. I've got a new stinger that was made for me. A stinger is that transition that you just saw. And I should credit the guy who made it for me. It's Josiah J. made it for me. He just spontaneously sent it to me, and I was like, dude, thank you. So, yeah, check this out. Wait, there we go. Ah! I don't know. Oh, we have to see what we think of it. I can't decide. So as soon as he gave me the stinger, I started just I sat there and I just went back and forth. And after a while, it's kind of like if you just say the same word again and again and again, it starts to lose all meaning. After a while, I was like, I don't know if I like it anymore. But maybe I just overwhelmed myself. It's pretty smooth. I can't decide, though, because here, like, hang on, we'll do it again. Is it too long? Or is it, like, only feel too long because I watched it for, like, I just went back and forth for, like, 5 minutes? I don't know. What do you guys think? That's kind of cool. I might like a little more color on this screen, on the JB. A little more color. The white. You think the length is good? Okay. I might like a little more color. But overall, thank you so much to Josiah J for that. I've always wanted a stinger because the little cuts back and forth. I think it looks a lot more professional if you have a nice stinger. So I really want to be a gaming streamer, and I'm not grateful enough for what I have. I am grateful. But I watch gaming streamers are like, those guys are so cool. I want to be like them. They have stingers. Yeah, I don't know. Hate the transition at the end, says one person. Anyway, so I got a transition. Thank you so much, Josiah J. Yep, I am rocking that cricket swag, Stu. Have you guys seen what crickets? We're gonna do news of the day. That's how I kind of start my live streams. Can I just? Speaking of crickets, Stu, I've got cricket's shirt on today. No, not notifications. Shut up. Cricket. Is he? He's too good. He needs to stop it. He needs to stop it. Not this one. Where's the gap he hit? Where's that gap? I don't know. Oh, where'd he post that gap? Oh, see, this is... Yeah, no. Where'd he post the gap, though? There was a... No. Well, I was going to show you this crazy gap he hit, but I can't because I can't flip and find it. Oh, well. But, Oro the RC Overlord, don't spam the chat, bro. I will definitely not answer your question if you spam the chat. Is the stream sucking? Is the stream sucking for everybody? It says excellent connection for me. Oh, it's on his story. Oh, see, you knew the one I was talking about, didn't you? Yes, here it is. Hang on. No, stop. Pause. Pause, but I can't. Hang on, I got to close it. I got to close it. I got to go back to this screen. Y'all getting to see this stinger so much. Check this gap. What? Are you for real? Are you for real? Are you for real with that? He's not even looking. You see that he's not even looking? He's just like, nah, I knew it was there. I used the force. Shoo! Like, usually you have to look to hit a gap, but he was just like, swoop. Oh, see? Robin S. is starting to get sick of the stinger. Starting to get sick of it. See, I told you. It looks, you're like, oh, that looks really good. And then like the 50th time, you're like, nope, that was not accident, G Nice. He lined that up, I guarantee. I guarantee he lined that up. It's not luck. I guarantee he lined that up. You can see. You can see that he there's like a row of those bricks, and you can see he lined it up. Anyway. Don't overuse the stinger, says T. Greer. The thing is, every time you switch scenes, the stinger plays. That's the thing about the stinger. It makes me wonder if it should be a little shorter. Like if it should just be swoosh, JB, swoosh. I don't know. We'll see. I can't use the stinger less. Every time I change scenes, there's the stinger. We'll keep the stinger for now. We'll keep an eye out. You think we should only use the stinger when coming back to face cam? I don't know about that. Otherwise, you need a shorter one, says 507. Okay. I thought the stinger felt a little long after I looked at it for a while. Quadex Multirotor. You got to visit. Anyway. We'll keep the stinger for now. Does it got a sound? Oh, the stinger. I can't hear the sound because hang on a second. I'm gonna do it one more time. It only plays the sound over the stream. It doesn't play the sound. Look, hang on. Let me hear it. I didn't hear it yet. I'm gonna do it one more time. I don't hear any sound. Even when I'm on. You guys are hearing sound for the stinger? Weird. I didn't hear anything. All right. We're gonna get rid of the stinger for now. Thank you. Let's do news of the day. Welcome to the live stream, you guys. We're gonna do news of the day, and the first piece of news that we're gonna look at today, no stinger, is the Betaflight 4.2 release candidate. Version 2 is out. Betaflight 4.2 is closer than ever before to actually being released. That's very exciting. If you haven't flown Betaflight 4.2, it's pretty impressive. 4.1, every time Betaflight comes along, there's something new that's impressive, but oftentimes there's also like Betaflight 4.1. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. RIP your ears. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. The stream is sponsored by Nasacort, non-prescription allergy relief. When spring allergies get to you, just jam some Nasacort right up your nose and just squirt it all up in there. And then, oh yeah, that's good stuff. I have my window open today because it's cold in my basement because in order to have the upstairs a decent temperature, the basement has to be freezing. I don't know why that is, but that's how it is. Let's get back on it. So Betaflight 4.2 is coming. I guess I shouldn't overhype it because Betaflight 4.1 has RPM filters, and RPM filters are legitimately amazing, but at the same time, a lot of people found that they didn't like some of the things that Betaflight 4.1 did when they flew it, and they ended up sticking with 357. So I guess we shouldn't say, oh, 4.2, just because people are flying 4.2 and going, wow, it's so good, doesn't mean that it's not going to have some problems when it gets in wider release, but it's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty excited to see it finally get released. Marius Schmidt, you're right. Hot air goes up, cold air goes down. That's exactly the problem. You've nailed it. You've 100% nailed it. Speaking of Betaflight, here's another development. What the F? So this is, do you guys know who this is? Dominic Clifton? He's kind of a big deal. Dominic Clifton is the founder of CleanFlight. CleanFlight was started when Baseflight, which was the original, well, not the original if you go back far enough, but Baseflight was one of it's the precursor to Betaflight and CleanFlight. And the lead developer of Baseflight goes by the name of Timecop, and he was famously a dick. Just really abrasive. And Dominic Clifton started CleanFlight. CleanFlight, of course, begat Betaflight, and Dominic Clifton has been participating in Betaflight and contributing to Betaflight. I thought it was a real classy move of him, to be honest with you, because Betaflight started when a guy named, here's some history for you youngins. Betaflight started when a guy named Boris B, he forked CleanFlight and started working on his own little private repo where he could try experimental things that CleanFlight had to move a little slower because it was big and established and didn't want to take some risks. So Boris forked what eventually became Betaflight, and Betaflight got bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually it became its own thing, which Boris resisted for a long time. Boris was doing all this work in his private repo and then merging the stuff back to CleanFlight as it got tested. And people said, why don't you just make it like Boris Flight? And he was like, nah, I'm just going to... But eventually, Betaflight got so far ahead of CleanFlight, and CleanFlight just basically couldn't keep up. Not in terms of development, but just like... It was just like a fire hose of new features, and CleanFlight just couldn't vet them all and test them all and integrate them all. And finally, they were like, look, okay, we're going to start Betaflight. Betaflight's going to be this fast-moving snippy. And everybody ended up flying Betaflight, and CleanFlight was kind of like... I mean, I'm not going to say it was gone because obviously it's still here, but at some point, Dominic Clifton, to his credit... Now, what would you do if you were in that situation? Be like, I used to be the most popular and now I'm not anymore and I hate the guys. No, he wasn't like that. He was just like, okay, Betaflight's doing pretty good. He merged Betaflight back into CleanFlight and just basically, I don't know what the word for it is in like GitHub terms, but just basically made, when Betaflight, I forget the version, but he released CleanFlight 2.0, and CleanFlight 2.0 basically just like took Betaflight and went, okay, now we're Betaflight. And he continued to develop CleanFlight, but he also continued to contribute to Betaflight. Dominic would release something in CleanFlight, and it would get shared over there to Betaflight, which is really mature, in my opinion, because having been on top, and then someone else comes along and for whatever reason they pass you and you're not on top anymore, it would be really easy for you to resent that and be like, not all right, I'm just going to take my ball and go home. But he didn't do that. And now, and I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get into the politics. I'm going to stay away from the politics. But the fact that he's no longer a member is significant. The fact that he's been kicked off the repo or whatever is significant. He has a position. As far as I know, the Betaflight devs have not made a public statement about why he was removed. And I would say that until they do, and maybe they never will, we should at least take whatever he says with a grain of salt, because you're only hearing one side of the story. But you can read and you could form your own opinions, nevertheless. And I guess that means he's going to go back to developing Clean Flight. I don't know. It's a what's that? That wasn't even a source. It's a bummer. It's a bummer to see this kind of stuff go on. I don't know what to make of it. What I do know is that there seem to be a whole lot of people that some of the Betaflight devs dislike and have big public fights with. Like, it started, I remember when the whole Raceflight Betaflight divide started. I placed that squarely at the feet of Raceflight. Again, I'm not trying to dig up old drama. That's all in the past now. But I was really annoyed. It felt to me like when Raceflight it started saying Betaflight steals from us, and they really stirred up a lot of drama that didn't used to be there. And I appreciated why the Betaflight devs might feel negatively towards the Raceflight developers. And then the Helio thing, the Helio Spring, Betaflight devs didn't get along with Helio developers, and there was a lot of mudslinging. And I was like, I could see both sides of it. Like, I think neither of them had sort of clean hands in that situation. They were all slinging mud. And now, freaking Dominic Clifton. Like, who doesn't like Dominic Clifton? Okay, I've heard this about Dominic Clifton. I've heard people be annoyed that sometimes he doesn't work as fast as they would like. But I haven't heard, I mean, like, if you look at the threads that he's linking to that he says got him kicked, he says that he gave feedback. He said color selection and garish color resulting in blurry text. And he gave a bunch of feedback on this style sheet or something. And that was the final straw. Okay, it looks like he's trolling a little bit here in this message that he's sharing. I don't know. Looks like he's trolling a little bit. It's not a personal attack. It's just feedback. I don't know. But the bottom line is that personal bullshit always seems to get involved in this type of project. And it has again, and now he's no longer part of it. So there you go. Other news. FAA targets 2021 for launch of drone remote ID service. Apparently this whole we're going to get remote ID done in about 2 or 3 years. Apparently not. Now they're trying to get it done in under a year. Looks like it's time for that lawsuit that Tyler Brennan is supposedly getting ready. Looks like it's time for that to get going. I have no idea what this means for us, but it looks like we're going to find out sooner rather than later on whether this is going to be a thing and how it's going to affect us. Yeah. I think that I don't know. Remains to be seen. It's going to be very interesting. Hey, Brandon Aldridge. I'll answer questions when I'm ready. When I'm done with the news, I'll answer questions. It's my live stream, dude. I'll get to it. Botgrinder's in the chat. Hello, Botgrinder. How do I stream so early? It's 1 p.m., dude. I've been up. I have Botgrinder, step 1, have kids. Step 2, never sleep again. You're up all the time. You have no energy ever. This is the Cadix Nebula. It's a 14 millimeter sized, nano-sized camera for DJI. Very interesting. Not a lot of news out there about it, but people were asking about it in the chat, and so I decided to include it in the news of the day. Basically, it'll replace the existing camera. Caddx has this in the mail to me, and I will hopefully be one of the first to review it. Very excited to be offered that opportunity. Speaking of things that I'm not the first to review, the Radiomaster TX16. You may have seen reviewers already starting to... Kebab put out his video about the Radiomaster. I don't have mine because it's stuck in Hong Kong. Shipping out, DHL shipping is totally effed up right now because of coronavirus. So some of them made it out of Hong Kong and some didn't, and mine didn't make it out. So I would love to review it, but I can't. I'm kind of annoyed. It's not anybody's fault except coronavirus's fault, but there you go. So I don't have the TX16, I don't have the T18, and I don't know when I will. I don't know what to do about that, though. One more. Oh, no, that's it. That's it. That's all the news of the day. Let's do some questions. What about that Blue Angels thing? Somebody asked in the chat. Do you see the Blue Angels drone? Do you guys see this? This is news, but it's also a chat question. Drone nearly hits Blue Angels. Well, I think it's the other way. I think the Blue Angels nearly hit the drone. It's a drone pilot who was in the air during the flyover. And I think, I think people see this and they say, oh, it's fake. I don't know, man. I mean, I'd love for it to be fake, but I don't. All right, shush up. Show us the footage. Don't talk about the footage. Show me the footage. Here we go. There he comes. Yeah. That looks pretty freaking real to me, dude. Oh, how much did that hurt the hobby? I don't know. Do you think, did it hurt the hobby? Is it going to change? I mean, they're already, trying to kill us. So, I don't think it's going to get any worse. But, yeah, it's a dumb move. Here's the thing, though. That guy whoever that is going to get so effed. You think messing with a commercial flight is bad? You put a freaking drone near the freaking Blue Angels, you're not just going to have the FAA on your ass. That guy is effed. Am I right? That guy is effed. You're done. I don't know how stupid you are that you thought that was a good idea. But you're about to find out. That's going to be a very expensive flight. OCDFPV says, I was there. There were helicopters that were just as close. That may be. Helicopters presumably were in communication to avoid a collision. Yeah, this guy was not. Bachgrinder says, now more than ever, we need to make a distinction between DJI photography drones and racing drones. I appreciate the impulse to do that. I feel like the distinction between... If there's a distinction to be made, then it needs to be between home-built, self-built, and off-the-shelf. That, to me, feels like the most ethical and effective distinction. Because I think that a lot of the problems are coming from people who buy a drone off the shelf and don't necessarily know how to use it safely. More importantly, if you restrict it to self-built, then it means that there's a barrier to entry because a lot of people aren't able to build their own drone. And by the time you can build your own one, hopefully you might have a little bit of sense. I don't know. King Bill says the guy who posted the video got tons of heat, death threats, etc. How are you stupid enough to think that posting this publicly is a good idea? Unknown whether it was a DJI RC flyer. Some people said that there was not actually a no-fly zone in the area, that they didn't, for whatever reason, register it. I'm drinking iced tea. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that it's right to make a distinction. I think that we should all stick together. But if you had to make a distinction, yeah, I would want the ability to build and repair. So. Let's see. Let's take some more questions. Somebody says the guy who took the video is denying he flew it. The guy says that he posted the video to rat out the guy who took. I don't know, man. I wouldn't touch that video. If you handed me an SD card with that video on it, I'd be like, back away. I don't even want to be anywhere near this. You could like hand me a pound of heroin, and I'd be like, no. We're not going. We're not. I'm not. I'm leaving. That is dangerous footage to even be anywhere near. Yeah, well, of course he's saying he didn't fly it. Oh, man. Neil Featherstone says, liftoff, can you make it less floaty? Neil Featherstone, the number one thing to do is make sure that you are getting enough frame rate. Turn the graphics all the way down to low and make sure you're getting minimum 60 frames per second. That's the first thing to do to make the physics feel more right. Have I ever crashed into the power lines in my yard? Asks Nick K. Yes, I have. I've hit them once or twice. So far, nothing has happened. They just go whoop, 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 and then they go back to being normal. Nathan wants to know, what the fuck is wrong with me? I don't know, man, but if you figure it out, you let me know. Oh, man. Let's see here. How do I fix yaw spin on my trash can? Asks Max Dufka. When I do a punch and let it come down, it starts yawing right or left and has prop wash. When I do a punch, it descends straight down. Yawing right or left when you descend. That's interesting. Are you props out, Max? Or are you props in? Props out is certainly where you're going to want to be for a trash can. You may want to look into a Project Mockingbird tune for it, if there is one. That'll certainly make it fly better. It sounds like you've got a prop wash problem. The canonical answer for prop wash problems is, number one, I mean, you could work on filtering. The very first thing to do with any quadcopter to make it fly better is get the filters dialed in and specifically minimize the amount of filtering. The least amount of filtering while still having enough is what you want. So if you can get RPM filters working on it and then move those filter sliders to the right in Betaflight, that can help, just in general, help the handling. What's a filter? Asks Connie Chung. Connie Chung, the real Connie Chung? There's probably more than one Connie Chung in the world. A filter is... so the problem with quadcopters is that the gyro needs to detect the motion of the quad so that it can like make it fly correctly. But the motors make a whole lot of vibration. And the vibration, it's like trying to listen to a conversation in like a loud stadium. You have trouble picking it out. The filters filter out the motor vibration and let the gyro see just the motion of the quad. That's the short version of it. Best antennas for rapid fire, asks Neil Featherstone. Funny you ask. Check this out. First of all, check this out. Woo! What do you think of my new goggles? These are HDO2s. These are my HDO2s. I finally got around to putting them in this shell. Thank you to Grant Lashley. He does ceramic coat for like firearms, but he also he graciously ceramic coated my goggles. It's a different color. My purple goggles that I used to have, that I gave away in a giveaway. I always wanted that purple color to be more like a deep blue, kind of like my car, but colors don't always come out like you expect. So I liked the purple; it was fine. But when I got these done, I tried to get a color that was going to closer match my car. So this blue is a little closer to the color of my car. But check out the antenna I got on here. This is a new antenna I'm trying out. The Luminaire Axie Duo. It is a, it's got a higher gain. Oh my God. Excuse me. A higher gain, a compressed vertical beam width. I'm going to be I've always avoided this kind of antenna because I worry that with a compressed vertical beam width, if you drop your head, you'll lose signal. But we'll have to see. Is Rapid Fire still the best to buy for analog? FPV at all? Wait for it. My review of TBS Fusion is coming on Monday? I think it's Monday. Let me check my editorial calendar. It's not a Thuma, Canon Hughes. It's not coronavirus. It's my allergies. I mean, it could be. I mean, I could be coronavirus. I don't know. I mean, can't be sure. I don't think it is. I have allergies every year. Yeah, TBS Fusion review coming tomorrow. Oh, hang on. There you go.
Between concrete walls, there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone.
Oh yeah, that's good. It looks so ridiculous. So you'll find out tomorrow. I mean, Rapid Fire is the best, but is Fusion also the best, or even better? You're gonna find out tomorrow. No, it's just Nasacort. That's all it is. It's not anything. See, I never know when to stop taking it. That's the thing. So I stop taking it, and then like 3 days later, if my allergies come back, I'm like, well, I guess it's still allergy season. Why don't I use DJI? Asks Oro the RC Overlord. Oro, I do use DJI. I use DJI on a lot of my quads. I use analog on a lot of my quads. I use them both. Why doesn't anybody fly hexacopters for freestyle? Asks Jelmer Hemstra. Hexacopters, I mean, it's just an additional 2 motors. It's 2 more things to break. They're less durable. The fewer motors you have, the more efficient your quad is, and the more durable it is, but the less redundant. So the more motors, the more ESCs, the more complexity there is, and there's no benefit to having 6 motors for freestyle. You want a small, light, and yeah. That we flew a 3-inch octocopter that was interesting. When you get down into the 3-inch size, having those extra motors did do interesting things. But for 5 inches, there's just not really a benefit to it. Timbo FPV says, do I ever use my Orcas? Yeah, I do use the Orcas. I use the HDOs more because they have the adjustable diopter, whereas I have to put corrective lenses in the Orcas to use them. And that adjustable diopter means there's just the little plastic lens corrections. They collect dust and stuff, and so I'm constantly having to clean them, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Whereas with the HDOs, if I just clean the front lens, they're clean. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff coming for Orca. There's some interesting stuff. I can't talk about it. There's some interesting stuff coming down the line for Orca that might make them closer to my daily driver. So, this is what you get today, guys. Sorry, it's going to be a sniffly live stream. RG Morales is 82% total on tasks too much. Yeah, you don't want to be above 50%. All right, well, I've ignored the super chats long enough. Everyone who gave me a super chat, I apologize. I shouldn't. I don't apologize. This is how the stream goes. But let's get some super chats out of the way. Chris Kumo. Oh, in case you don't know what a super chat... Oh, my God. Do you guys know what a super chat is? Oh, my God. Wow, yeah. There's a $sign right here. And if you want to, like, what? How come Joshua isn't answering my questions? Well, I mean, I just can't answer them all. You guys, there's too many. So you can hit that $sign, throw a couple bucks, and get your question pulled out, and then I probably won't forget it. Chris Camus, thank you for $5 in the super chat. What does the FPV hobby look like in 3 years after the FAA regulations pass and go into effect? All quads sub 250 gram? I don't know, man. Nobody knows. I feel like this idea that it's just going to dry up and disappear isn't going to happen. Just don't. I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be wishful thinking. Sub 250 gram is not currently threatened, so you certainly could just be going down below 250 gram. The thing is, how are they like? Are people going to stop building 5-inch quads? The amount of enforcement is going to be minimal. And a lot of people will just continue to do what they're doing, whether that's through ignorance, they just don't know, or a conscious decision. I think the only way the FAA could just completely stop the hobby would be to stop parts coming in at the border. And it feels to me like that's further than they're going to go. But I can't be sure. Fred Armstrong, thank you for $5. I built an iNav quad along with your series. I'm old. We're going to slow down the responses. Fred Armstrong, go into the receiver. No, PID. Oh, it's in iNav. You want to lower the rates, Fred. You want to lower the rates. Lower the RC rate parameter. And in iNav, is it in the PID tuning tab or the receiver tab? They put it in different places in iNav. But Fred Armstrong, you want to lower the RC rate. That's how you can lower it. If you put it into angle mode, it's much, much slower. But if you're flying in acro mode, then that's what you got to do. I also am seeing Jumpy Video 507RC. I don't know why that's happening. Oh, I do know why. Hang on. I know why. Hang on. Boop. Sorry. I do know why. Google Drive was trying to... Hang on, that's going to clear up in 1 second. Google Drive was trying to upload something and taking all my live stream. OneDrive was fine. Google Drive was running in the background. Give that a second to catch up. Oh, well, I'm going to keep talking until it catches up. I think it just... Nope. Well, I'm going to keep talking. It'll clear up in a second, I think. Meatwad Fairy, thank you for $2. Howdy from Texas. Thank you. Howdy from Texas. Isa Duzitz, thanks for $5. What can I do to better my video antenna to get longer range on goggles? I'm new to the hobby. Isa, you can get higher quality antennas and they will improve the range somewhat. If you have crappy antennas now, it's going to make a difference. If you have half decent antennas now, going to day difference in your coverage. The best way to get longer range, get at least half decent antennas, or spend a lot on premium antennas if you prefer. You want a higher output video transmitter, so you're going to want to get one of those 1-watt video transmitters, and then you can start looking at directional antennas, which will have higher gain, but it means that it's focused. It's focused down, and that means it's more directional. If you move your head or something, then it's going to be a problem. Yeah. It's coming back, guys. It's got to come back. I've paused the Google. I don't know what to tell you. As long as the audio is fine, I'm going to keep doing it. Should be back, right? Surely it's back. Dropped frames, 3%. Yeah, is it back yet? Has it figured it out? Well, I don't know. Try reloading the page if the audio isn't synced. That's easy. Yeah, I think it would clear up in just a second. Let me reset my stats and see if I'm getting any more dropped frames. Refresh your screen if the audio is out of sync. All right, continuing. Carbine, thank you for £2. Crossfire telemetry, what to watch and when to worry. Carbine, RSSI, people have been noticing that RSSI is really weird in the latest versions of Crossfire. Don't pay attention to RSSI. Pay attention to link quality. If your LQ is 199 or above, don't even worry. If your LQ is 100 or above, you might think, oh, I'd like that to be a little better, but you're still not at risk of failsafe. You're not going to failsafe until LQ gets down below 100. So pay attention to LQ. Remy Tim, thanks for $2. How was your documentary interview? Yeah, James Christensen is his name. Came out and interviewed me for a documentary he's making. It was cool. It was surprisingly stressful to like sit there and talk for like 4 hours answering his questions. I don't know. I finished and he left and I was like, oh, I gotta go take a nap. I don't know why. But it was surprisingly stressful. But it was fun. I'm looking forward to finding out. Like what comes of that. Blazed FPV, thank you for $10. We love you, man. Excited to collaborate with you on June 1st for Freestyle Legends. Yeah, I'm going to be going on these guys, I guess it's a podcast or a live stream, June 1st. Thank you for Blazed for the super chat. Zendaria, thank you for $5. Caleb Griffey, thank you for $5. Our high drain 18650 is getting good enough for quads. I'd love a 3-inch that runs on a single 18650. Hold on now, Caleb. Let's break that down. Even the high drain 18650s, I think they top out around 20 or 30 amps. And that's not enough for bigger quads, at least not unless you start putting them in parallel, and then the weight gets to the point where it's no good. But more fundamentally, a 3-inch running on an 18650, a single 18650 is only going to give you 4.2 to 3.5 volts. That's not enough voltage to spin a 3-inch motor because you need to take the kV so high that the motor wouldn't have the torque it needs. I think it'd be interesting. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but there aren't any 1S 3 inches, are there? And there's a reason for that. So there is a sweet spot where, like Zoe has her 2-inch 18650, but I think it's running on a 2S 2-piece pack. Maybe it's a 2S 1P. But, yeah. There's this place for 18650s, but it's in low drain endurance, not high drain. Isa Duzits, thanks for $5. What antenna do you recommend for Emax goggles? Isa, I've got some antennas listed over here on my website where I keep all my product recommendations. There's a section on goggles and antennas. Here's a section on Omni antennas, which has some recommendations. These are not the only good antennas in the world. They're just a few that I've picked that you might want to pay attention to. So, there you go. It's Darts. Thank you for $5. What are your reasons for using the Fat Shark goggles when the DJI goggles handle OSD and have a huge screen? Latency shouldn't affect your racing. That's a good question. It starts. First of all, let's put aside the issue of latency. The AV input on the DJI goggles, the latency issue that it used to have, has 99% been fixed. I think the latency still isn't as good as a dedicated pair of analog goggles, but it's good enough. And more importantly, it's consistent. So you can use DJI goggles as analog goggles. So why do I still use my Fat Sharks? Because Fat Sharks are better analog goggles than DJI. Fat Sharks have an OLED screen. They're lighter and they're more comfortable on your head. When I wear the DJI goggles for 15 minutes at a time, I start to get a headache because my neck, I have to kind of take them off and give my neck a rest. It's not that they are heavier, but also they're further away from your head, so there's more leverage. That's just a fact. So the DJI goggles have a huge screen, but when I fly, I don't want a field of view out to my peripheral vision. I want a field of view that fills my vision, but doesn't exceed it. I want to be able to see the whole screen without moving my eyes around too much. So the DJI with the 80-degree field of view, I shrink the screen down to like 80% when I fly so I can see the whole thing. So I don't want an 80-degree field of view from my goggles. And the DJI doesn't have an OLED screen, and an OLED looks better than LCD. Like, that's a fact. So that's why I use... Now, if I didn't already... Like, I'm a reviewer. I'm a YouTuber. So, like, I got goggles. Fat Shark sent me a set of HDO2s. DJI sent me a DJI. I also bought a set of DJI. I don't want you to get the impression that I just like an endless rain of things coming at me. But I have the option to have both analog goggles and digital goggles. If I was shopping for myself, I think that the DJI with an analog module is pretty compelling compared to buying a whole separate set of analog goggles, if only because it's a pain in the butt to carry around 2 sets of goggles. But since I have the option to use the best analog goggles and the best digital goggles, why wouldn't I? Trevor Noah, thank you for €2. Scott Will, thanks for $5. What frame setup would you recommend for a long-range cruiser with DJI? I guess, for a long-range cruiser, I'd be looking at the 7-inch size. There's various 7-inch quads. One of them that I think is pretty good is the Banggood, 7-inch Banggood. I actually don't know a ton of 7-inch quads or frames to recommend, to tell you the truth. But I'd be looking at 7-inch, 2207, maybe 2407 motors. 7-inch bi-blade props for efficiency. Nathan, thank you for $5. My QX7 has XJT next to D8 when I put it in D8 mode. That's okay. No. It just says XJT D8. That's fine. It doesn't have an XJT module. Well, it does. The XJT module is the internal module. That's an XJT. So yeah, that's not a problem. Don't worry about that, Nathan. How much difference will I notice in flight with a slammed frame versus normal height? Asks Granola FPV. Thank you for $5, Granola. I don't think you're going to notice much difference at all. The more centralized weight does give it a little bit more agility. But I think the big difference, to me at least, with a slammed frame is that it's more durable. The taller the frame is, when you crash, the more leverage there is to kind of, which is easier to sort of turn from a square into a diamond. A big tall square or a little narrower one. You see, it's a shorter one. So it's going to have more leverage against that. I guess it's racking force. And it's going to be more durable. That's, I think, the big reason to go to a slam frame. Yes, the weight is more centralized, but I'm willing to bet that most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference in flight, not without at least a lot of testing. So definitely go for the slam frame. It's better. But maybe not because there's like a big difference in flight characteristics. There's a difference, but it's pretty subtle. Sunny FPV says, Kebab has a lightweight 3-inch that runs 1S and 18650. Wow. Okay, I'll give you that. Because I wasn't thinking about toothpicks when you said 3 inches. I was thinking about more like a heavier Acrobat style up in the 250 grams. If you're talking about a toothpick down in the 75 to 100 gram weight range, I could see you running that off an 18650. Although still, I mean, a lipo is going to, yeah. Anyway. Got a couple more that just came in. Let me get them. Joshua Owen, thanks for $5. I have only 2 Luminaire Axi left hand with the correct connection for DJI goggles. With only 2, maybe placed on top, improve over the DJI stock. Yeah, I can't remember. For the DJI goggles, is it the top ones that receive and the bottom ones that transmit? I think so. And people have argued that you can get pretty good results by using directionals only on top. And yeah, going to like a high quality antenna or a patch antenna will give better penetration and range compared to the stock antennas. Trevor Noah, thank you for €5. Are you sure the DJI has consistent latency now? Well, hang on, Trevor. I was talking about the AV input, not the digital input. The digital link has variable latency. That's a fact. The AV input has, I mean, all systems will have some variance in the latency. But all I'm saying is that the latency of the AV input is to a usable level, whereas when the DJI goggles first released, the AV input had such high latency it was basically not usable. Wannabe FPV says Kebab's 1S toothpick with the 18650 was just for test purposes. He got 15 minutes of flight time, but the electronics crapped out at 3 volts. And he wasn't able to actually fully discharge the battery. Yeah. Gonna need a boost converter. That's right, DJ Pop. DJ Pop is asking about the video I used to have about Crossfire 8-channel mode and putting LQ on channel 9 through 12. Yeah, DJ Pop, the reason I took that video down, and if you don't know what video I'm talking about, don't worry, it doesn't matter, because TBS got rid of that. You no longer can use channels 9 through 12 if you're not in 12-channel mode. I don't know how you ever could, but people were telling me that TBS got rid of that feature and that video didn't work anymore, so I took it down. So there's no drama or anything. I just took it down. Quadex is asking if anybody else is still getting lagged video. Quadex, I'm currently showing 0 dropped frames, and YouTube says excellent connection. So I think it's on your end this time. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Should I keep the... This is my quarantine beard. Should I keep it? It's not quite a beard yet, is it? I can't decide. Zendoria, thank you for $5. What do you think of the Diatone Exorcist frame? I've talked about this on stream before. I don't want to... I mean, thank you for your super chat. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to answer it. But this is such a freaking expensive frame, Zendoria. $150 for the frame alone. You could almost build a quadcopter for that price. Like, you gotta... There is no practical reason to buy this frame. Is this frame better than a traditional carbon fiber frame? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But is it... Like, if you were going to buy a typical frame for $50 or $60, or maybe a premium frame for $100, you're going to go up to $150 just for the frame? Come on. Come on. I don't see it. You got to just want this. Like, if you look at this and go, oh my God, I want it. Then you're going to pay $150 for it. But I don't think there's a practical reason why this makes more sense than a frame like the 533 switchback. Like, for example, 533 switchback frame. It's Evan Turner's frame. Oh, I should just go straight to there it was. This is Evan Turner's frame. This thing costs $50. Now, I want to ask you, is the Diatone Exorcist a better frame than this 533 switchback? It's prettier. Is it more durable? Doubt it. Is it more maintainable? No. Is it going to be faster? Well, I don't know. I mean, Evan Turner flies this frame, so I think it's pretty freaking fast. Yeah. Noob Gone Wild, I do answer questions from the chat. I'm just taking care of the the super chats that stacked up. I spent the first 30 minutes. Okay, I spent the first 15 minutes doing news. Then I did questions from the regular chat for 15 minutes. Now I'm doing the super chats. Anyway, I mean, it feels like for a third of the price, you get a pretty good frame with something like this. Or, in all fairness to the other guy I know from Tennessee, let's see. Let's get Alex Campbell's frame up here. This is the Chief frame. $40. Oh, it's $10 cheaper. Oh, Alex Campbell trying to undercut Evan. Anyway, so that's what I think of the Diatone Exorcist. Anyway, let's how's things going over in the Discord? Icy in the Discord. Icy, is that it? I just built my first quad. The Tyro 129, I have asynchronous ESC initialization sound on one motor. Switched from D-Shot 300 to 150 with no avail. Yeah, so especially if you're doing bidirectional D-Shot, sometimes the ESCs will not make the startup sound at the same time. But sometimes, even if you just randomly, for whatever reason, one of the ESCs initializes a little bit late, don't worry about it. Dropping from... It can be a problem. If your ESCs don't initialize at the same time, it can sometimes mean that you have a problem with the signal. And if you're also like getting desyncs and the ESCs don't initialize at the same time, then it's like, okay. But just because sometimes they don't initialize together, don't inherently mean it's a problem. See how the quad flies. Dropping from like D-Shot 600 down to 300, you shouldn't have to go to 150 on modern hardware, I don't think, but maybe 150. I think you should try to fly it. Be careful. Accept that it may desync. Don't like fly it over a lake. but safely and carefully fly it. Give it a couple little throttle punches. See if it death rolls. Don't do it over asphalt. Do it over some soft grass, where if it crashes it. But I think you're probably fine. It's probably not a big deal. He's gonna go do it, and it's gonna light on fire, and he's gonna be like, yeah. Ethan Dealey wants to know when the Spectrum videos are releasing. Ethan, I don't have any current plans to make more Spectrum videos at this time. I kind of feel like I'm pissing off Spectrum pilots every time I go over this. I've mentioned this earlier on the stream. I've made a couple of Spectrum tutorials, and they haven't done very well. Just not a lot of people watch them. So that doesn't mean that I'm a slave to the algorithm and I only make videos. Because if I only wanted to make videos that got a lot of views, I would just make dramatastic bullshit videos and I'd get views and I'd feel like a horrible person. But at the end of the day, I want to make videos that people are going to watch because I know that those videos are helping. When I make a video that's like, how to solve this one problem, and then it gets 50,000 views, I'm like, I helped a lot of people. I feel like a good person. But when I make a video and it gets just very, very few views, that tells me that not a lot of people are having that problem or searching for that topic. And so that, and then I'm like, well, if I had all the free time in the world, I'd make, because my other motivation is to have a video that documents everything. So I want to make Spectrum videos because you guys are out there, but at the same time, it's not like I have all the time in the world to make videos about everything, and something has to not make the cut. So unfortunately, I don't have a plan to do another Spectrum tutorial at this time. Let's see here. Jumper T16 versus Radio Master T16S asks Cordline in the regular chat. Sorry, I'm spitting on myself. In the regular chat. Oh, a question from the regular chat. Bardwell doesn't do that anymore. Jumper T16 versus Radio Master TX16S is the wrong question to ask, Cordline, because the Jumper T16, it's done. Forget about it. Don't buy the Jumper T16 anymore unless it's on deep discount. Jumper's going to be so mad at me. Are there any even in stock? Does anyone have Jumper T16s in stock? Because the Jumper T18 is coming. It's almost here. I don't think it's released yet, but it's on pre-order. The real question is the Jumper T18 versus the Radio Master. The T16 is not even in the running anymore. And so then, which one should you get? Well, I would love to tell you, but I haven't gotten either of them because shipping is effed up. So instead, let's just look at a product page instead of a real product. Not that I'm bitter. This is the Jumper T18. The Jumper T18 with Hall Effect gimbals comes in at $140. That's got the 4-in-1 module. So for $140, this is basically an updated Jumper T16. Wait a minute. They told me they weren't going to reduce the price. This is an updated T16, but it's $20 cheaper than the T16 was. They did reduce the price. I knew they were going to reduce the price. So the T18 has a few little upgrades compared to the T16, but it's basically a T16. It's got dual on-off, so you can turn it on and off quickly. A couple other little things. Ooh, adjustable LED backlights. It's basically a slightly updated T16. Yeah. Has it got the 5-in-1 or hasn't it? Because it says 4-in-1. But here it says 5-in-1. I don't think so, because here's the 5-in-1 with the RDC90 gimbals. Oh, that's the even more upgraded gimbals. I hope that's the one they sent me. Okay, so it has the 5-in-1 module. Okay, this is a typo. The 5-in-1 module means that the Jumper T18 supports 900 megahertz long distance. I think it's running R9 firmware. And so you'll be able to bind to FreeSky R9 receivers. I am so torn on how much of an actual selling point that is. Because he say to me, "Hey, Joshua, we got a 900 megahertz module built in." I'm like, "Oh, I'm excited. And it's running R9 firmware." Oh. Okay. Now, it's not technically running R9. It's actually, I believe it's reverse engineered R9. The multi-protocol project that makes the 4-in-1 module reverse engineered the R9 protocol. And so technically, FreeSky isn't writing this firmware, which might be an advantage because FreeSky's track record with the R9 firmware is not so, it's not bad, but it's not perfect. When you talk about like 900 megahertz long range, maybe I'm a little spoiled. Like, you get to a point, like I'm at a point right now where if I say, look, I'm going to put my cards on Crossfire, it's a business expense. I can go and I can look at my Patreon and I go, I can do that. But like, if I didn't have the ability to justify going Crossfire, I mean, there's a lot of people who use R9 and are happy with it. That's true. So a lot of people are going to buy the T18 and they're going to like the fact that you're basically getting, this is actually a real shot across the bow for FreeSky. Because FreeSky is working really hard to get you to buy R9 hardware. Why would you spend whatever, what's a FreeSky R9 module? What's it cost? Hello, not Amazon, like at a real store. $50, okay. So why would you buy a FreeSky R9 module for $50 when you could buy this jumper radio for $140 and get basically an R9 compatible module built in? Yikes. On the other hand, if you are leaning more towards Crossfire or you just don't give a crap about 900 megahertz, which some people don't. Here's the Radio Master. Now, there's like 3 different versions of the Radio Master, but Race Quads only has the one. This is the Hall Effect gimbals for $129. It's got a touch screen built in. So I don't know which of these is the best one for you to get, but it's pretty freaking exciting. And yeah. Compact Disco says it doesn't support R9 telemetry yet. That's kind of a big deal. My pick would be... I'm going to keep using Crossfire as my primary control link. I'm spoiled. Somebody's shouting, look at the T16 Pro. Is it the TX16 Pro? 16S Pro? No, I don't know. T18 Pro. I'm going to keep using Crossfire as my control link, so the built-in 900 megahertz doesn't really matter to me. I will say that I might be swayed by the upgraded gimbals, the RDC90 gimbals in the T18. But on the other hand, the touchscreen on the T16 sure is appealing. And the T16 has serial ports built into the bottom, which might mean that we get the ability to flash receivers more easily. And the T16 is $130. Yeah. Now, ZD Kroot says nobody's getting my money for a radio till they get rid of that massive screen. No, Doom239. The T18 Pro is not going to work with Crossfire unless you put a Crossfire module in it. There is no way in the world that TBS would let that happen. TBS is not... I will eat my hat if a day comes out when some hardware other than TBS hardware supports TBS Crossfire. I do not see it. Drone shots, the T18 Pro doesn't have a touchscreen. The T18, unless it's the... When I talked to Radio Master and I asked him about this, the Jumper T18, they told me, does not have a touchscreen today. It will have a touchscreen eventually, but it will be a hardware upgrade. The difference is that the TX16 from Radio Master has the touchscreen built in now, but there is no software support for it. When OpenTX 2.4 comes out, there will be support for the touchscreen in the Radio Master, and people who buy a Radio Master today will already have the touchscreen built in. It'll just be a software upgrade. What Radio Master told me, and you may know something, you may be right and I may be wrong, but what I asked him about this, and they said that the T18 is not shipping with the touchscreen installed now. It'll be a hardware upgrade later. That's what they told me. Compact Disco says the T18 hardware should be able to do Crossfire if they reverse engineer it. I mean, that's theoretically possible, Compact Disco, because both Crossfire R9 and both Crossfire and R9 use the same kind of baseband RF modulator chip, the LoRa chip. They both use the same chip. In theory, they could do it. It's Johan Verhept. It is not a single protocol module doing both R9 and 2.4. It is dual. They have dual boards. At least that's what they showed. But the question you raise is a very good question. Where's the antenna for 900 megahertz? Because you can't have. That's a very good question. You can't have a 2.4 gigahertz antenna work well in 900 megahertz. And I don't see any secondary antenna opening. Maybe it's an internal antenna. Maybe 900 megahertz is an internal antenna. I don't know the answer to that. It's a good question. We got a post here from Popular Mechanics over in the Discord that I want to share with you guys. Going back to the question about the Diatone Exorcist, Popular Mechanics says, don't buy the Diatone Exorcist, and sent me this picture. Okay, now I have no personal experience with the Diatone Exorcist, so I have resisted making any proclamations about its durability. And I will continue to do that, but I will say that Popular Mechanics feels like the Diatone Exorcist is not a good move. He says it's a showroom queen only. It looks good, but it's not to be flown hard. $150, $300, $450, $600. Notice the last one. You must love this frame, dude. You must love this frame. Yeah, 507RC. Why is it always the same arm? Is it the same arm every time, or is it? Well, it's a symmetrical frame, so maybe it's not the same arm every time. Popular Mechanics, can you give us any more information about the crash? He's typing in the Discord. He says it wasn't the same area. He just flipped the frames around so it looks like it's the same one. Greg Womack asks, is R9 or Crossfire really necessary? I mean, none of this is necessary, man. None of this is necessary. Like, define necessary. I will say that when you go to 900 megahertz, you essentially stop thinking about failsafe ever again. Well, obviously, if you're going 10, 15, 20 kilometers, the thing is, that's different. But when you go to Crossfire, I'll talk about Crossfire, or when you go to R9, and if you get R9 working well, which many people do, but some people don't. When 900 megahertz is working well, you now only think about your video. You don't think about your control link failsafing. As long as you have video, you have control. So is that necessary? It's nice. It's nice. It's good. It just gives you more confidence, yeah. It removes half. There are two things that can make you lose your quad, and one is control failsafe, and one is you lose video. And 900 megahertz removes one of those. Anyway. The other thing about Crossfire is that Crossfire is so convenient and easy to use. Let me tell you a story about Crossfire. Once upon a time, there was a little boy. No. I went to fly my quad. It was a quad I hadn't flown in a long time. I went out to wherever it was that I was going to fly. I set the quad down and plug in the battery. Oops, no link. I had updated the firmware on my Crossfire module, and I had forgotten to update this one receiver. Well, the first thing is that Crossfire will not let you bind with mismatched firmware, and I think that's one of the reasons why FreeSky gets into trouble, because FreeSky will let you bind with mismatched firmware, and then shit just doesn't work, and you fail safe. Crossfire's like, nope, not going to do it. But Crossfire has over-the-air firmware flashing, so all I didn't have to pull out my laptop, no BS. All I do is I unplug the battery, I turn the Crossfire module into bind mode, and then I plug the battery in. And a second later it goes, update firmware, and I say yes. And then just it updates the receiver firmware, and I'm flying 3 minutes later. Crossfire, FreeSky does have like one receiver that can do over-the-air firmware updates, but in general it doesn't support that. That's the kind of thing that just is so easier to use. Yeah. Yeah, okay. RC Flyer, thank you for 5 Swiss francs. What would you choose, the Radiomaster T16 with TBS Micro or the Tango 2? RC Flyer, I prefer the ergonomics and usability of the large controllers. So as much as I respect what they've done with the Tango 2, the Tango 2 has the best ergonomics of any gamepad style controller that I've ever used. At the same time, I just prefer the ergonomics of a bigger controller. I would take the Radiomaster. The other thing is that the Tango 2 can't do 2.4 gigahertz, and I still do 2.4 gigahertz every now and then. Dan, thank you for $5. What do you think of the FreeSky Taranis X9 Lite for a first radio? The X9 Lite is the thing that FreeSky has that no one can deny is they have very good build quality and very good quality control. Your chances of getting a defective Taranis are very low, and they tend to last a long time. The X9 Lite is a really solid first radio, but you have to know that you're locking yourself into that FreeSky Access ecosystem. So you won't be able to bind to D8 receivers unless you buy an XJT module for the back of your radio. And you're going to be dealing with BS like this. Oh, guys, we just released ACCST firmware 2.1 and it's not compatible anymore with your old... You have to update all your receivers. Oh, I have to update all my receivers? Yeah, oh, and you have to desolder them from your flight controller to update them because we don't have over-the-air firmware updates. Oh, that sounds like a great way to spend an afternoon. Thanks, FreeSky. I'm making a bigger deal of it than it is, but it's a little annoying. Nishant Pinto, thank you for $5 in the super chat. I accidentally bought the T-Motor F1507 2700 kV for Cinewhoop with 4S. Will it fly? Nishant, I think it will fly. You're getting down there. It's typical to see closer to about 4000 kV for a 3-inch 4S Cinewhoop. I think at 2700 kV it will take off, and you'll get nice long flight times just with not a lot of power. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, it'll probably fly. Metal Johnny B, thank you for $10 in the super chat. I'm considering buying the DJI goggle system. Since it's been about a year since release, would you wait to see if they bring out a version 2? Metal Johnny, I have a canned answer for that. Here's my answer. And this is not a case where I know something secret and I'm like pretending. I don't really play that. If I knew something secret, I would say something like, well, I can't really talk about that. So, but here's the take. Here's my take on it. If you look at all of DJI's other products, they're on about an 18-month life cycle, roughly. And the DJI goggles, if they were on an 18-month life cycle, they would get an update around the March timeframe of 2021. So it's getting closer, but it's not here yet. Aerial Imagery 321, thanks for $5 in the super chat. I'm using an iFlight F7 with Betaflight 10.6 and 4.1. Betaflight will not save my number of poles or notch filters. Everything else saves. Well, you're on Betaflight 4.1 and Configurator 10.6. That's the first thing. Not saving the number of poles is pretty weird. I mean, I know the iFlight F7 supports bidirectional D-shot. I guess I would flash it to a different version of 4.1. That's a weird one. Like if you're on 410, you could flash it to 412 or something. That's a weird one. Try enabling bidirectional D-shot, although I think the number of poles should save even if bidirectional is disabled. Redique says, I think it'll be a new air unit, not goggles. Redique, I did see a rumor. I think David Skadoosh posted this to his Facebook page. Skadoosh, say no if you either didn't do this or if you just want to have plausible deniability. Skadoosh, didn't you post a leaked rumor about the updated DJI goggles on your Facebook page? Like, I forget what features were leaked. Like, it was no groundbreaking features, but a few little things. Skadoosh, when the chat catches up, Skadoosh will either fess up or say, "No, what are you talking about? That wasn't me." Oh, well, you could have just said no, David. Skadoosh says he sent it to me privately. Okay, well, that's why I'm not sharing it, because I can't remember where it came from. Yeah, you could have just said no. Well, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. More trouble. Darshan Patel, thank you for $10. I'm used to flying my quad with yaw reversed. Oh my God. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my God. Oh, there's one. I mean, whatever. Guys, learn to fly in mode 2. Just learn to fly in mode 2. You can learn to fly in some weird mode like yaw reversed, and people who use first-person shooters want to reverse pitch. Just learn to fly in mode 2 like everybody else. 2 hours later, you'll be fine, and for the rest of your life, you'll have an advantage because you'll be flying the same controller as everybody else. Skadoosh's inbox. R.I.P. his inbox. You should have just said no, David. You'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then in a PM, you could be like, yeah, that was me. It was a PM. I didn't want to fess up. You like the attention. Okay, so Darshan, what you need to do is you need to go into your transmitter and you need to just reverse in the transmitter. In OpenTX, it's in the outputs screen. There is a column in the output screen to reverse the channel, and that's how you can do it. But you should just... It's too late. You've already learned to fly that way, so you're probably going to stick with it. Christopher Yachts, thank you for $5 in the super chat. Great job on the Insta360 video. Could you do one on the Insta360 Go? I only fly micros and I can't use a full-size camera. I don't know, Christopher. Maybe. It was so much work to make that video. I loved it, but it's very time intensive. I can only make so many videos like that. Teddy B, thanks for €2. Dave Hernandez, thank you for $5. Do you know the technical reason why an entire 4-in-1 ESC will just completely stop powering on? Dave Hernandez, usually that's the 5-volt regulator on the ESC. The ESC will have a voltage regulator that powers the microprocessors. And if that, or maybe the 3.3 volt, they probably run at 3.3 volts natively. Regardless, it also has a 5-volt regulator oftentimes, and either one of them can die. Usually what will happen is, if the ESC has a 5-volt output, then the 3.3-volt regulator will run off the 5-volt regulator, and if either one fails, the whole ESC is dead. Or the ESC doesn't have a 5-volt output, and it has a 3.3-volt regulator, and if that dies, then the whole ESC is dead. But the chances of all 4 of the microprocessors dying at the same time pretty low. So, Mike Zaragoza, thank you for $5. Kevin McCarthy, thank you for $2. Thoughts on the Vaz Ultra Flex Crossfire antenna? I think it's amazing. I haven't tested it yet, but my biggest complaint with 900 megahertz systems is the size of the antenna. They're large, and they tend to get beat up. So Alex Grieve has made this Vaz Xfire Pro antenna. It's a flex antenna for Crossfire. Now, I haven't tested it, mostly because it's been out of stock. Ha-ha! It's in stock now! Ha-ha! Whee! But if Alex Grieve made it, it's probably good, because he don't make no junk. Redbeard the Pirate, or the Pilot, I hope I misread his name. Thanks for $5. He says, thanks for the legit work ethic. Oh, wow. You mean thanks for being a worthless shill? A legit work ethic. Wow. I don't hear that a lot. But I don't take it personally. I knew a guy who said, we're going to get deep here for a minute, guys. I knew a guy, he said, the key to happiness in life is that when somebody like insults you or hurts your feelings, don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about something that's going on with them that they're taking out on you. You see? Don't take it personally, though. Don't have that emotional reaction where you're like, hey, no, F you. Just be like, oh, isn't that interesting? Look what's going on over there. I was like, oh, that's deep. He said, but wait. It also applies when somebody compliments you. Also, don't take that personally. Like, oh, wait a minute. I like it when people say nice things about me. That feels good. And I feel like that is a reflection of my value as a human being. But when they insult me, so you can't have it both ways, can you? You can't, like, oh, it's deep. Deep. Fernando Salazar, okay. No. Fernando Salazar, thank you for $5. iFlight FC Twin G F405 and Spectrum 6210. Spectrum 6210. I don't know that receiver. What receiver is that? That is a... Oh, you're doomed, buddy. Spectrum 6210 is a PWM output receiver. You can't connect this to any modern flight controller. Can you? Does it have a serial output? I don't think it does. Does it? Wait a minute. I don't think this has a serial output, does it? It's bind/data. Can anybody tell me if this has a serial output? I don't think it does. So I don't think you can use this with a modern flight controller. This is for servos, man. You need a receiver like the 40 Spectrum. SPM 4650. Like, you need a receiver like the SPM 4650. That's the one to get. Fernando Salazar, ditch that receiver and get the Spectrum SPM 4650. That's the one you want. Trevor Noah, thanks for €2. When do you expect a better than HDO2 goggle? Good question. HDO2 is pretty freaking good for analog. If DJI released an OLED screen goggle, that would be pretty compelling as an analog goggle. Of course, the Orca is out there. Orca is on par with the HDO2 in terms of visual quality and has some features in the works that may really, really differentiate it. See, right now, the Orca has a few things that the Fat Shark doesn't, like the SPI interface to the rapid fire. But mostly, the Orca and the HDO2 are just both really solid analog. The DVR is better in the Orca. But, like, there's not like a killer feature of the Orca that just puts the death blow to the Fat Shark HDO. Could go both ways. There's some stuff in the works, though. It's yeah. The real question, Trevor, is how much more life do analog goggles even have in them? That's the real question. In 5 years, will there be analog goggles at all? 3 years? 2 years? Fabrizio Varelli. Thank you for €2. I really enjoy the Italian language. It's very hard to not say Italian names and words without falling into a offensive, stereotypical Italian accent. But just listening to Italian people talk is very enjoyable. I don't mean anything by it. Fabrizio. Runcam 5 Orange or Caddx Orca. I received both of those cameras to test. I tested the Runcam 5 Orange. I thought it was okay. The image stabilization, I wasn't impressed, but the image quality was decent. The Caddx Orca was dead in the box. It didn't work. Caddx sent me a new one. I haven't gotten back around to testing it yet. So the Orca could be better than the Runcam, but I wouldn't know because I haven't tested it yet. There you go. Kosiba says Orca is way better than the HDO2 as soon as they release the digital FPV Connect. Yeah, no. The digital FPV Connect module that's supposed to do like live streaming direct from the goggles, that's going to be a killer feature. That's not even a secret. That's public. But it's not out yet. Greg Womack, thank you for $5. I made Greg spend more money on the Crossfire. Greg is probably talking. So I recently started running Crossfire Shot, which is the new, even lower latency protocol from Crossfire. And as part of that, you lock Crossfire to 150 hertz mode. You prevent it from dropping down to 50 hertz high latency mode. And that reduces your range. Normally, the way Crossfire works is when you're at close range, you're at 150 hertz. But then as you get to further range, it drops to 50 hertz. When you lock at 150 hertz, the range goes way down. Now, it's still amazing because Crossfire is amazing. But it's way, I mean, you're used to being able to never think about fail-safing at all. And when I was doing my range test, my Crossfire module test, I flew far away and then I turned behind a concrete wall to make myself lose video and I fail-safed. Now I'm at 250 milliwatts because I have a micro module and that's as high as it goes. And I was locked at 150 hertz. So I can't turn up the output power, so I put it back to 50 hertz. And then it was just like, okay, forget it. No fail-safe ever. But I thought, well, maybe now is the time to go to a full-size module that will go up to 2 watts, because that will let me keep that 150 hertz even at even longer range. Yeah. Oh, I'm having... Right now, I'm showing 0.5% dropped frames. But I am showing a few dropped frames. You guys are having some lag. I am showing a little bit of dropped frames. Why isn't it possible to have an FPV feed on 900 megahertz? It says MO. It is possible, MO. The big reason you don't see that happen, though, is that the 900 megahertz spectrum is so narrow. There's just not enough bandwidth to put video in it. Well, that's not true. There are 900 megahertz video cameras. They have really crappy video and low resolution. Yeah, so. DJ Pop says, I have the full-size Crossfire, never used more than 100 milliwatts, never fail-saved. Yeah, DJ Pop, but I'm going to guess that you are not locked at 150 hertz. When you lock it at 150 hertz, you take away the ability to extend the range by dropping to 50 hertz. And the interesting thing is, if you actually pay attention, you'll see it drops to 50 hertz at, you think, oh, it must go to 50 hertz, like, what, like 2-3 miles out? No, it's way sooner than that. I feel like at 250 milliwatts, locked at 150 hertz, Crossfire has about the same range as a really good 2.4 gig system. That's just my gut check. That's not science. But the whole time, you have, like, really low latency. So... Dave, yes, the OpenTX version for Crossfire Shot is still a nightly build, and it's not 237 either. They haven't released any new updates, I think, since January. I don't know why. I wish they would release a 237 update, but they haven't. Mike Bergman raises an interesting point about laws and regulations and law breaking. And I think, Mike, that you're talking about quadcopters, but Mike says it just shows that laws don't matter to the people who break them. Same with guns, same with cars. Let's take that. That's an interesting argument. The argument goes, we're going to add a new regulation to make something illegal, like flying beyond line of sight. Well, that's actually not legal in the United States anyway, but let's go with it. We're going to add a new regulation that makes it illegal. And people say, well, that's pointless because people break the laws, they're just going to break the laws anyway, so it's not going to stop the unintended behavior. There's some truth to that, but if you take that argument to its logical extreme, does that mean that laws as a whole, can't you make that argument about any law? Listen, guys, I got a great idea for a law. Murdering people. Not going to be legal. Pfft, whatever. People who are going to murder people are still going to murder people even if you make it illegal. Let's just not even have that law. No. I mean, unless you think that laws as a whole have no effect, I don't think that argument makes sense. You have to dig a little deeper. Is the law going to actually have the effect that it's intended to have? The fact is that in some cases, punishing people for doing things has a effect that it prevents them from doing them. If there was, let me ask you this. Most people watching the stream probably like drive cars or drive vehicles. Not all. I know some of you don't do that, but live in New York City or you ride a bicycle everywhere. You ride a one wheel. Hipsters. If the speed limit was 110 miles an hour, sometimes would you go 110 miles an hour? Probably. Yeah, but you don't now. Why not? Is it because, see what I mean? The people who are going to break the law, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, right? No, the law is stopping you from doing it because you don't want to get a speeding ticket. King Bill in the Discord says, if the speed limit was 110, I would go 130. Here's my point. My point is that there are people out there who are going to do whatever the F they want, and the law will not stop them. And if they get caught, the law will provide a means to punish them. But the idea that we're going to restrict this harmful behavior by making a law against it, you're 100% right. Some percentage of people are just going to do whatever they want, and the law will not stop them. A lot of people will obey a law if you make the law, just because they are law-abiding people. Most people are. Most people follow the rules. So if you say there's this behavior that we don't want and we're going to make it illegal, the fact that some percentage of people are going to do it anyway, you're still having an effect. Now, should we have laws against this specific behavior? I'm not going there. This is just a philosophical debate about the whole, well, people are going to break the law anyway, so there's no point. Let's see what you guys think about that. Jojo4 says the problem is the law has too many gaps to sneak in. Lobbying is manipulating fairness, and we, meaning probably the ordinary people, are out of luck. 507RC says there's a famous quote, rules are for the guidance of wise men and the obedience of fools. Definitely think about laws and decide whether you feel like... The thing is, I think nobody should follow laws blindly. Every time there is a law or a rule, you can think about what is the effect of it and whether it makes sense and whether it's consistent with your values. I'm not a... People see some of the videos I make, like my video about low band video, low band down at 5.3 gigahertz. I made a video about how using low band was illegal. And some people are like, oh, Josh was such a goody two-shoes. He's a... No, there are plenty of laws that I don't break any laws. You can think, but there are sometimes I'm like, no, that makes sense. I believe in that, and I support it. I think the argument is overreaching. Laws aren't going to stop the people who are already breaking the rules. Making me have remote ID isn't going to make me already fly safer. But you're right about that, Katiz. I'm certainly not arguing that remote ID is a good idea. It's definitely. I mean, here's the counter argument, though, man. Like these dumbasses who are doing dumb shit with the guy who's sorry for swearing on the stream, parents. This guy over in Vegas whose Phantom just flew away, or Mavic or whatever it was. It flew away and it landed at McCarran Airport. Do you know how they caught him? His FAA number was right there on the drone. They just looked it up. So this is a case where this was a law-abiding person who did something dumb, and the law made it the law made it possible for him to get caught and punished, deservedly so. I'm sorry, if your drone lands at McCarran Airport, you deserve a slap on the wrist for that. Sorry, you just do. So that's a case. The law didn't stop him from breaking the rules, no, but it did make it possible to penalize him for his mistake. And hopefully that story helps other people like, damn, I gotta not do that. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Let's see here. Kasiba asks, I saw a video where he told us about updating the software on the HobbyMate Duo charger and the fan stays off. No, you're right. It said in the release notes that the fan was going to turn off. Kasiba, it doesn't. It's still on. It's quieter, but it's not off. You're right. Hellspinner is getting link quality warnings after updating to 4.2 RC1. Any ideas? Hellspinner, it's a release candidate. It could have a bug. RC2 is out, so try RC2 and see if that fixes it. RR, thank you for 2 Swiss francs. Did your HX115 HD ever flip out in midair? No, it didn't. I don't know why yours is, presumably, but mine didn't. Greg Womack, already got you. Teddy B, thanks for €2. Skyzone OTC, Fat Shark V3, or Omway Commander V2. Fat Shark Attitude V3, I assume. I would take the Skyzone. The Skyzone doesn't have an OLED screen, but it's got a built-in module. It's a decent module. It's a good package all around. And the fact that the Fat Shark Attitude doesn't have a standard aspect ratio drives me crazy. Oro, the RC Overlord, was asking earlier whether the iFlight DC-3 was a good quad. The short answer is yeah, it's decent. There are a couple of really competitive 3 inches out there, including the Transtech Beetle and the Gep RC. What's the 3-inch Gep RC? I'm not sure. They're all good. It's hard to tell which is better, but the iFlight, if you're leaning that direction, it's a pretty decent one. JT says, who actually puts their UAS certificate number on their models as the FAA requires? I do, and that's not BS. That is the God's honest truth. As a high-profile person, I feel like I can't take the risk of not doing that. I pay $5 a piece, and I put the freaking sticker on them. The real wake-up call for me was that there's a field in San Diego, the San Diego Electric Flyers. I've actually been there. When I was in San Diego a while back, I went there. And apparently some FAA people just showed up one day and said, okay, everybody, let's see your aircraft. And if you didn't have your number on it, I think they fined some people, or at least gave them a warning. And I was like, crap. Well, okay. It was when I started studying for my 107 that I thought to myself, do I really need to get a 107? I mean, what are the chances? I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I had that thought. I'm busy. It's a pain in the ass. And then I was like, people from the FAA probably watch my channel. Not because they're like checking up on me, just because some people at the FAA also fly drones. Could somebody at the FAA go, let's just see if Joshua Bardwell has a 107? Oh, he doesn't. I was like, oh, I better get my 107. Same with registering my drones. You don't know, they could be watching. Copter Flight's a 30 amp ESC is good enough for basically any 5-inch setup. The thing is, if you look at the batteries, 30 amps ESC is 120 amps per motor. Now, there are batteries out there that can deliver 120 amps, but not for very long. A typical 1300 or 1500 milliamp hour 4S is going to deliver 120 amps for like 5 seconds at best, and then the voltage is going to sag and the current is going to drop off. So if you have a 30 amp rated ESC with a 40 amp burst rating, you're fine. Well, if that's the truth, then why would you ever buy a 40 or 50 or 60 amp ESC? Because more headroom does matter. You're going to be less likely to fry a 60 amp ESC compared to a 30 amp ESC. Especially if you're hard on the throttle, especially if you're pounding the turtle mode trying to get the quad out of a tree. You know, they're more durable. But most people don't actually need a 60 amp ESC because most people, if you actually look at the current the motor's pulling, they're usually cruising around, say, 30 to 60 amps. And occasionally they'll pump the throttle and get up to maybe 90 or 100 amps. Maybe. Most people are not exceeding 30 amps per motor. Ian F. says that's probably the only AMA field that has ever happened where the FAA came out and checked numbers. No, you're right, Ian. I believe that's the only time that I know of that's ever happened is that one field. You're right. It's more the thought that as one of the largest FPV-related YouTube channels, if they were just going to like randomly pull somebody's ticket, it could be mine. If they wanted to make an example of somebody, it could be me. So I try to, like, okay, it's worth $5 a drone to register all my drones on the off chance that they don't decide to make an example of me. Yeah. Let's see. Noah Like the Arc says, Dynamic Notch Max Hertz looks new in 4.2. What should this value be? Noah Like the Arc, I'm going to answer your question, but that is actually discussed in the 4.2 tuning notes. And I suggest if you are playing with the 4.2 release candidate, you either look at my video where I go through the tuning notes or just go read the tuning notes. The answer is, Noah, if you assume that you are using RPM filtering, and you are not then using the dynamic notch to filter your motors, if you are using RPM filtering, set dynamic notch max hertz to 350. Ride Free, I do. I have the ham license. I've had the ham license for years. I had the ham license before 107 was even a thing. The ham license, I got to be honest, the ham license is kind of BS. It's still a requirement, and I still comply with it. But the purpose of the ham license is to prevent you from interfering. And if you're operating a 5-watt ham radio, you could mess up a whole lot of people. But for a typical 5 gig, first of all, we're technically in the ham band, but we're also overlapping with the ISM band. And we're in an unlicensed band. The 5 gig video transmitters, the worst case scenario, what are they going to do? They're not going to hurt anybody. So I feel like when people don't have a ham license, I'm not like, you're irresponsible. Like if you dive a building over a crowded street, I'm going to be like, whoa, that's not cool. What if you'd have fail-safed and crashed on somebody's head? That's going to hurt somebody. But if you're flying a 5 gig video transmitter and you don't have your ham license, and I know so many people are doing this, like, I don't care, personally. The freaking FCC doesn't care either. Because they only care when you actually interfere and cause problems. And 5 gig video transmitters just never do that. What are we talking about here? Zach, you're talking to Ian F. What are you talking about, though? Let's see. Part 15 states the power delivered to the antenna is limited to 1 watt on ISM bands. I believe that's right. Who's breaking that? Oh, does the FlySky 900 megahertz module go above 1 watt? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the same for R9. Doesn't R9 limit themselves to 1 watt? Not sure. Here's a dirty little secret. There are products out there that claim to have an FCC certificate or a CE certificate that don't. The manufacturer just puts the statement of compliance in the manual, and they never actually got certified. And then you go and buy the product, and you're like, I'm good to go, and you're not. But that's not really your fault. You wouldn't get in trouble. The manufacturer would. There are also products out there where here's how FCC certification goes. You send your product off to an independent lab. The independent lab tests the product and produces a compliance report. That compliance report is submitted to the FCC, and then they approve and they stamp it. Well, the FCC is really busy, and they often don't dig too deep into the compliance reports. They just trust that the lab has done their work and that the information in the report is correct. But the lab, who's paying the lab? The manufacturer pays the lab. So there are manufacturers they have a lab who does their testing, and the lab just, I don't know, I'm not saying they make up the results, but I'm saying there are products that have a legit FCC certificate that should not, because the product is actually not compliant. And anybody with actual knowledge just looks at the product and goes, this can't be compliant. How did this pass the test? But you look at the compliance report and it's like, oh, well, it says it's compliant. And the FCC just never looked close enough to, and then, so to go back, in a world where all that is true, if you're flying a 5 gigahertz video transmitter without a ham license, I kind of don't care. Ryan Clausen says, for flying line of sight, is there a way to monitor the quad's battery voltage on my transmitter? Yeah, Ryan Clausen, that's telemetry. That's what you want. Telemetry does that. Is the DJI goggle compliant, Jonah Chua? Jonah, the DJI goggle has an FCC Part 15 certificate, and as far as I know, it is compliant. It's only like 4 of the channels. It's only like the middle 4 channels, I think. Not all 8. But like, as long as you're operating on one of those 4 channels, then it's Part 15 compliant. And the thing is, when you're like a DJI, generally the big companies don't screw around. Because if a big company gets caught screwing around, they're going to get dinged for millions and millions of dollars. It's these little companies that can afford to kind of slip under the radar with their products. And I'm not naming names here because, like, I've had conversations where somebody I'm talking to goes, such and such a product, right? That's not FCC compliant. Here's why. And I go, oh, that's interesting. But I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an engineer. So I'm not naming names because I don't want to falsely, but I looked at it and I go, oh, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. That doesn't seem right. But I'm not going to name names. Thank you, Nadiesel Girl. Thanks for $5. Thanks for everything you teach us. Your Discord rocks too. Nicest people. Thank you. My Discord is, only my patrons get access to my Discord. And not even all of them. Occasionally, a troublemaker gets in and is disrupting the nice environment that we have over there. And then I am like, sorry, you got to go. And they're like, but I joined your Patreon. And I'm like, yeah, well, you could stop if you want, but you're out of the server. Only very, very, very rarely. It's a nice environment there. Thank you. Ricky Church, thanks for $5. Chris Fights Fun, thank you for $2. Any settings that I should turn off in beta flight? I think there's more to that question, but I don't see the rest of the question. Any settings you should turn off in beta flight? D-min. If you have like mid-throttle wobbles, turn off D-min. RR, thank you for... Oh, no, we got you. All right, we're caught up. Have I missed any super chats? I think I haven't missed any. Now that my facial hair is getting longer, I kind of can't... I kind of just want to do this all day. Dante Cusolito, what's not compliant about some products? Well, Dante, I'll give you an example, and this one is actually documented historically, so I'm not at risk of falsely accusing anybody. There's a maximum output power that's allowed in various bands based on various criteria. And FreeSky transmitters, FreeSky controllers were outputting too much output power. I think they were outputting 150 milliwatts, but they were only allowed to output 100 milliwatts. And so what that meant was that FreeSky 2.4 gigahertz controllers had better range than their competitors because they were in violation. And I think they got caught and they dialed it back. I don't know. But that's an example of a way that you might be non-compliant. Another way you might be non-compliant is if you're doing a frequency hopping protocol, there is a limit to your duty cycle. So frequency hopping means that instead of going, blah, transmitting, like an analog, like a television station or an analog video transmitter, frequency hopping, you go, I'm transmitting. You hop all over the place, a little bit of power at a time. And because you're hopping all over the place, you never really interfere with, like, you see what I mean? You're never in one place long enough to interfere. Well, if you think about it, if the duty cycle of that transmission got too high, you would just be like, I'm transmitting everywhere, and it would basically be wideband noise. So there's a restriction on the duty cycle that a frequency hopping transmitter can use. I've heard some accusations that some products use excessively high duty cycle and should not be compliant, and they get better performance and better range as a result. I don't know if that's true, but that's something that someone has told me. Oh, let's see here. Flacky is asking, what are the logical switches on my radio? I don't have my radio handy to tell you. I wish I could answer that for you, Flacky, but I don't. I can't, like, right off the top of my head. Somebody else was asking, what is my arm switch? My arm switch is the 2 position on the left shoulder. That's where I've always put it. Elijah Hodgson, how do you join the Discord? Elijah, if you want to join the... It's behind me, but it's like all the way over there. I don't want to get it. I'm not going to do it. How do you join the Discord, Elijah Hodgson? You have to be a patron. You join my Patreon. There's a link down below. The minimum is $2 a month. You can join the Discord. Or I like to say $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. My policy has always been give me as much as you feel like I've earned and not a penny more. People thinking I don't read the messages. Yeah, just because I can't read all the messages doesn't mean I don't read any of the messages. I read more than I answer. Our Ethics Flat Rat 1507 motor is a good choice for a 3-inch build. I mean, I haven't had any experience with them, but like everybody seems to like Steele's motors. So 1507 2800 kV is good for 6S, not for 4S. Our F4 is still good. I got to tell you, The whole deal with the UARTs on F4 processors and the inversion is such a pain in the ass. Like, I would go to an F7 kind of just to get rid of that, but at the same time, they're more expensive. F4 is okay still for today. Laskira says the steel motors I ordered were very poor quality. Oh. Well, he sure sells a lot of them. Did you see what Steel's got going on? That guy. That guy. Hang on. Look what Steel's... Now I'm going to just use my live stream to promote Mr. Steel's latest video, of course. But look what he's got going on now. That's right. Because owning a Lotus isn't good enough. Let's get a $10,000 racing setup. This is a sweet freaking setup too. You can go watch this video and Steel's setting this up. It's a pretty sick setup. Hello. That and all I'm saying is, you don't get that unless you're selling a lot of motors. You're gonna sell a lot of motors. So pick up those flat rat motors. 1507. Are you obligated to lock Crossfire to 150 hertz if you're running Crossfire Shot? Says Alaise O'Green. What's the point if you're not going to lock it? That's the thing. The whole point of Crossfire Shot is to reduce latency. If you're not going to lock it at 150 hertz, you're not getting the benefit. So 507. Yeah, good point. I was being... okay, a little bit of sour... A little bit of... No, that's not the right one. Jealousy. That's what it is. A little bit of jealousy there. You don't want to crash the Lotus. That's true. The driving sim is good. No, I understand why you would have the driving sim. I'm just saying, the guy has a Tesla, and then on top of the Tesla, he buys the Lotus. And then on top of that, he's got the $10,000 racing sim. It's like, come on. I'm not complaining. Just saying. Just saying. Buy my motors. I want a $10,000 racing sim. Oh, I mean, he's earned it. He's earned it. So I mean, he deserves it. I don't begrudge it. You know what I miss? You know what I most listen. I want to say, you know what I'm most jealous of in this picture. What am I most jealous of in this picture? I'll wait for the chat to catch up. He's not at his parents' house, Proper Mechanics. That's his place. He bought it. He used to live at his parents' house. What am I most jealous of? The chair? The sweet sweatpants? The monitors? Nope. The hair, nice. No, I like my head. You're getting closer with the wood paneling. As a parent with 2 kids and 2 dogs, look how clean his carpet is. Oh, I haven't seen carpet that clean in 8 years. I vacuum and then like 2 hours later, there's dog hair, there's orange juice, there's peanut butter. Look, wait. Hang on. When he builds it, hang on, he's going to show him building it. Where's the build? Steel, where's the build? There. Look at it. Look at this carpet. Why is it so clean? How do you do that? We took all the carpet out of our main floor a little while back. No, don't say that. No, people in the comments are like, yeah, but you're better. No, it's not like, it's not, just don't do that. Don't do that. That's not what it's about. It's all in good fun. Oh, yeah, let's get 2 dogs. Let's get 2 dogs and just have them Live in the living room and sit on the couch. You know who sits on my couch is my dog's bed. You come over to my house, like, oh yes, let's go into the sitting room. Hang on, let me. It's the dog's bedroom. Okay. Oh man, thank you for RR for 2 Swiss francs. Well, we are getting ready to wrap up, guys. I used to have a house like that. I lived by myself. I was a bachelor. Nothing was where I. You know what the biggest luxury of living by yourself is? That you put something down. When you come back, it's still there. And nothing else is there. So good. So good. A Roomba would choke to death on my dog's hair, I assure you. We're getting close to the end, guys. This has gone completely off the rails. It's gone completely off the rails. Is Aaron Ciotti in the chat? Ciotti, you getting ready to stream, dude? Is Ciotti going to stream this afternoon? Is he here? What TPU filament? Sane Smart TPU, man. Brandon Aldridge, Sane Smart. Sane Smart's the best. I mean, I've only ever used Sane Smart because everybody I talk to says Sane Smart's the best. And I'm like, why would I not just trust them? Christian, yes, you can use 4S motors on 6S with motor output limit. That one quad flipped out, but I don't know why it flipped out, but it does work. It works fine. Gregory says NinjaFlex TPU is the best. NinjaFlex is, the thing is, NinjaFlex is too soft for a lot of setups, especially if you have a Bowden tube. It's a real hassle to get it to work right. Sane Smart, I think, is NinjaFlex is good, but I think Sane Smart is like, it's more workable and almost as flexible. So you're right, though. NinjaFlex is also very, very good. If your printer can handle it. Direct drive, baby. I mean, I am subbed to Ciotti. Obviously, I am. I just don't check his page right here on stream, but I'll go look at Steele's videos, so why not? Ciotti, is he streaming this afternoon? There he is. Ciotti! Quarren stream day 14. Ciotti's going to be streaming on his channel. Ciotti has been a busy guy. The pandemic happened, and now Ciotti's decided to stream every day. Love these thumbnails, dude. These are decent thumbnails. Ciotti, little tip. Put your face in the thumbnail. Thumbnails with faces are more clicky. These thumbnails right here, very good thumbnails. This is a fantastic birthday Quarren stream. Fantastic thumbnail. YouTube loves this. 512 views. Why are your views so low? How many subs do you have? I don't know. See, I'm subbed, though. You must have... Yeah. Got to get it. Put your face in this thumbnail. Just little face right down here. You'll get more clicks. Little YouTube tip for you. All right, guys. We're getting ready to wrap up. Thank you to Diesel Girl for $5 super chat. Is 30 by 30 on 20 by 20 mounts okay? I mean, it's got to be secure is the only thing, Diesel Girl. It's got to be secure. Can I use double-sided sticky tape? I would hesitate to use double-sided sticky tape, but that is how we used to do it. The problem is that double-sided sticky tape will let go, and it'll be a little trickier to get it square. Can you just go with the 20 by 20 flight controller? It sounds like you're trying to get a square peg into a round hole, and maybe it's not the right way to go. It will work, Diesel Girl. 30 by 30 on a 20 by 20 mount will work, but you're going to have to be very careful not to get vibration problems. If you do tape, really make sure it's secure. Oh, Diesel Girl, I see you sent me 2 $5 super chats. I was about to miss your previous one, but thank you again. Alrighty. Whew. Well, it's 3 p.m. It's time for me to let Aaron Ciotti take over. Ciotti is posting his link in the stream. I'll see you guys back here Monday at 8 p.m. for my next stream. I stream Sundays at 1 p.m., Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow morning, my TBS Fusion versus Rapid Fire review will release, and you will get to find out whether TBS Fusion is up there on the throne with rapid fire. Not that kind of throne. That's the king of analog modules, or not. Data6FPV, thank you for $10. Okay, no more super chats. I'm going off the air. Go watch Ciati. Happy flying, everybody.